Nistraigunyo bhavarjuna
Nirdvando
nityasattvato niryogasema
atmavan.
Once more together. 1, 2, 3.
Nistraigunyo visaya veda Nistraigunyo bhavarjuna
Nirdvando
nityasattvato yogasema atmavan.
Great. Translation and purport by Divine Grace. Translation. The Vedas deal mainly with the subject of the three modes of material. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes, free from all dualities and from all anxieties for gain and safety, and be established in the self. Purport. All material activities involve actions and reactions in the three modes of material nature. They are meant for fruitive results, which cause bondage in the material world. The Vedas mostly with fruitive activities to gradually elevate the general public from the field of sense gratification to a position on the transcendental plane. Arjuna, as a student and friend of Lord Krishna, is advised to raise himself to the transcendental position of Vedanta philosophy, where in the beginning there is Brahma Jignasa, are questions on the supreme transcendence. All the living entities who are in the material world are struggling very hard for existence. For them, the Lord, after creation of the material world, gave the Vedic wisdom advising how to live and get rid of the material entanglement. When the activities for sense gratification, namely the Karma Kanda chapter, are finished, then the chance for spiritual realization is offered in the form of the Upanishads, which are part of different Vedas, as the bhagavad-gita is a part of the fifth Veda, namely the Mahabharata. The Upanishads mark the beginning of transcendental life. As long as the material body exists, there are actions and reactions in the material modes. One has to learn tolerance in the face of dualities such as happiness and distress, or cold and warmth. And by tolerating such dualities, become free from anxieties regarding gain and loss. This transcendental position is achieved in full Krishna consciousness when one is fully dependent on the goodwill of Krishna. Om Tat Sat. Text 46. Yeah, I'm going to chant again the same way we will do, okay? Yavanartha udapane sarvatah samlutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Okay? Chant after me. Yavanartha udapane samlutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Once again, yavan artha udapane sarvatah samlutodake tavan sarveshu vedeshu brahmanasya vijanatah. Now all of us together once. 1, 2, 3. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Yavan
सर्वतः सम्प्लुतोदके भावान् सर्वेषु वेदेषु ब्राह्मणस्य विजानतः.
Great, wonderful, thank you. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: all purposes served by a small well can at once be served by a great reservoir of water. Similarly, all the purposes of the Vedas can be served to one who knows the purpose behind them. Purport: the rituals and sacrifices mentioned in the Karmakanda division of the Vedic literature are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly stated in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad-gita, 15.15. Purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. So, self-realization means understanding Krishna and one's eternal relationship with him. The relationship of the living entities with Krishna is also mentioned in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 15.7. The living entities are parts and parcels of Krishna. Therefore, revival of Krishna consciousness by the individual living entity is the highest perfectional stage of Vedic knowledge. This is confirmed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. 3.33.7 as follows. Aho bato shvapacho ato gariyan jihva yat jihva agre vartate namatu
Yachitva kre vartade
Sashnurarya Brahmano Churnama Grinanti Yete. O my Lord, a person who is chanting your holy name, although born of a low family like that of a Chandala, dog eater, is situated on the highest platform of self-realization. Such a person must have performed all kinds of penances and sacrifices according to Vedic rituals and studied the Vedic literatures many times after taking his bath in all the holy places of pilgrimage. Such a person is considered to be the best of the Aryan family. So one must be intelligent enough to understand the purpose of the Vedas without being attached to the rituals only, and must not desire to be elevated to the heavenly kingdoms for a better quality of sense gratification. It is not possible for the common man in this age to follow all the rules and regulations of the Vedic rituals, nor is it possible to study all of the Vedanta and the Upanishads thoroughly. It requires much time, energy, knowledge, and resources to execute the purposes of the Vedas. This is hardly possible in this age. The best purpose of Vedic culture is served, however, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, as recommended by Lord Chaitanya, the deliverer of all fallen souls. When Lord Chaitanya was asked by a great Vedic scholar, Prakashananda Saraswati, why he, the Lord, was chanting the holy name of the Lord like a sentimentalist, instead of studying Vedanta philosophy, the Lord replied that his spiritual master had found him to be a great fool, and thus asked him to chant the holy name of Lord Krishna. He did so, and became ecstatic like a madman. In this age of Kali, most of the population is foolish and not adequately educated to understand Vedanta philosophy. The best purpose of Vedanta philosophy is served by inoffensively chanting the holy name of the Lord. Vedanta is the last word in Vedic wisdom, and the author and knower of the Vedanta philosophy is Lord Krishna, and the highest Vedantist is the great soul who takes pleasure in chanting the holy name of the Lord. That is the ultimate purpose of all Vedic mysticism. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of translation and purport to the shlokas 45 and 46 of chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, why are these shlokas very interesting? First one, it says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna. Nirdvanda nitya sattvasto niryogakshema atmavan. Krishna is requesting Arjuna to rise above the Vedas, which are mainly dealing with all material affairs to do with karma under the three modes. So Triguna, Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. For people afflicted by Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, for people who are under the control of material nature, having forgotten who they are, having forgotten what their connection with the Supreme Lord is, and who have accepted this material world as a reality, for them, there are instructions how to go about your so-called enjoyment, legal material enjoyment that you want, and how to also gradually transcend. That is what the Vedas are meant for. Bulk aspect of it is to do with how to live in the material world. What's your material life? Religious life, how to live it out. This is directly instruction on how to do that. Therefore, Arjuna is being asked by Krishna, if you want to understand the real stuff, if you want to understand really the answers to your questions, I would like you to not cite Vedic references and instances, because what I want to teach you is something that takes you beyond just the Vedas, just matter, just material life, and governance under the three modes, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. I want you to understand that you are not matter. I want you to understand that you're not this body. I want you to understand you're not this mind, not this intelligence. All that is your material, mechanical, corporeal machine. But you are not that machine. Just like the driver is not the car, he's the driver of the car. Although it is like that, when the car moves, you say, oh, here goes a BMW, here goes a Benz. We refer to the moving car, and we refer to the person sometimes by the name of the car itself, especially in a motor race. So Krishna is saying, rise above these identities, move beyond these identities, right? So it's very, very interesting topic. And Krishna is telling Arjuna, only then will you understand what is the real purpose of the Vedic literature. You are supposed to follow certain religious, dutiful rules and regulations. That's true. Every civilized man has to follow those rules and regulations. But those rules and regulations in themselves don't constitute the be-all and the end-all of life. They don't make it the goal of life. They're only meant for keeping you engaged in matter, in the material world temporarily. But you are not matter. And this is only a temporary phase, right? So don't get stuck to the rules and regulations that is mentioned. Traigunya Vishaya Veda. And don't get stuck to the propositions, don't get stuck to the prescriptions given there. How to do your karma properly, how to worship so-and-so demigod, how to get from him so-and-so material facility, and then how to enjoy it. But don't go around and round in that. Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. And don't think that you have done it all right, you have followed the rules and regulations right, and you have successfully done your life. No, no. Just like I want to go, the other day I gave you this example, I think. I want to go from here during the COVID times. I don't want to take a flight. I don't want to take a train. I want to ride in the car. I am here in Coimbatore. So I want to ride in the car and go to Cochin, so that I don't get infected anywhere. I do my business there briefly, and then I get back into my car and come back. On the way in the car, I have to follow many, many rules. My driver will tell me, please put the seat belt, because we're entering Kerala. It's very, mandatory that you should have a seat belt. So I put on the seat belt. After some time, he's told, sir, this is one way. You cannot go like this. You have to move the other side. So he follows the rules. Then he sees the signs, no speed above 50 kmph. There is a school here. There is a factory here. There is a hospital here. This is one way, no U-turn here. There are many, many signs and many, many type of directions given. You know, this way for going to Palghat, this way for going to, Mardumalai, whatever. All these instructions are there. But the whole purpose of following these instructions, getting into a car, strapping your seatbelt, hiring a driver, all these things you do to reach your destination. Your destination is Cochin and you're coming back. But if you get lost in following these rules and regulations, if you get lost in being a good driver, having a good machine in the car, get lost in all these things and don't reach your destination, what is the use of that ride? What is the use of that car? What's the use of the driver? All this is a waste. That's why if you don't understand the purpose of life, if you don't understand why you are here, what is the journey? Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayah Diviva Chakshur Atatam Tat Vipraso Vipinyavo Jagrivagum Sasamindate Vishnur Yat Paramam Padam. Very famous shloka. Vishnur Yat Paramam Padam. Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam. The goal of life is Vishnu. We should hitch our whole car, our whole life, our machine to reach that. There are many things you have to do on the way. You have to follow rules and regulations. You have to follow the Varnashrama rules and regulations. You may be a husband, you may be a wife, you may be a citizen of India, you may be a person, like this. Like there are many roles, and all those duties have to be done. That doesn't mean that because I'm doing all these duties, I don't do the main thing in life. So the Vedas point towards Vedanta. Anta means end. Veda Anta means the end of Vedas. Means what is the real purpose of the Vedas? That is Prabhupada is quoting in the purport, the 15th chapter, 15. Vedaischa sarveir ahame vevedyah Vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. Krishna is telling, by all the Vedas, I am to be known. Vedaischa sarveir ahame vevedyah. Veda also means to know. By all the Vedas, you should know me. Why? Because I only wrote the Veda, and that is the purpose of the Veda. Vedanta krit vedavid evachaham. Vedanta krit, I wrote it as Vyasadeva. Vedavid, I am the only knower of the Veda originally. What is its purpose? Why it is meant for? Evachaham, I know it. And I floated this Veda inside human society as a powerful manual for you to navigate your life and reach the final goal. So don't take the Veda and run away on a different direction. You know, small kids, when they play ball, when they play football or anything, I've seen the kids, they are very excited. They take the ball in their hands and they just run away from the field laughing. And the father is running behind, the other kids are running, but hey, drop it, come on, we got to kick it with the leg and then kick it to the goal post. This boy is running away with it. He doesn't know what's the whole game. He doesn't know the game, and then it's plucked out from his hands, and then he start kicking the ball and then hit the goal. So don't take the Veda and run away as though you know the purpose of it. There are many people taking the Vedas and running away in their own directions, what they think it's supposed to be. No. Vedanta krit vedavid evachaham. What is the author written it for? That purpose it should serve, not some purpose that you want for your own, figment, to satisfy your own figment of your imagination. So Krishna is making it very clear. The purpose of the Vedas is this, right? Don't forget that in the process of following all these things. So we say Hindu religion, Hinduism and all that. What is it? What's the goal of Hindu religion? Where does it take you? Those questions should be asked. You should do critical thinking about life. And then those critical thinking questions which you have will be answered in the Bhagavad-gita. And while you read the Bhagavad-gita also, you can ask further questions, critically think, apply your rationality, apply your intelligence, and understand it very well. That's what Krishna is giving knowledge to Arjuna, is saying that's not the purpose. The purpose is self-realization. The purpose is realizing me, coming back to me, because that is reality. That's where you will be happy. That's where you will feel successfully having gained the goal of life, and you'll become immensely fulfilled. Right? So many people speak about Vedas. Some of them call themselves Trivedi, Chaturvedi. The four Vedas are known. But this is the story about the Veda. Originally, Vedas are called Shruti. Shruti means Shravana, Shruti, from the ears. I already explained this to you earlier. And the Vedas were understood through the ears. Out of all the senses you have, the ears are supposed to be the most important. Because Shrutekshita Pataha, through the ears, you can see. Ikshita, Aksha means eyes. Shruta Ikshita Pataha, the path of the Vedas is to hear and then be able to see. Through the knowledge of the Vedas, going through your ears, you can actually see. This is very sophisticated educational format. Everybody was sitting down at the ashram of the Guru, and they were simply hearing. There were no blackboard, there were no chalk, neither there were a smart board, nor was there a projector projecting something, nor was there an internet thing and Zoom going on. They were just hearing the teacher, Guru, sitting under the tree, and all of these boys on the floor, carefully, Shrutekshita Pata, hearing. And then they would think, then they would ask questions, and then the Guru would further explain. And there'll be discussion, then there'll be argument, then there'll be debate, and they'll boil it and distill it and deliberate on it and get a very good understanding. And then the boys can repeat everything verbatim that they have heard. They'll go back home and the father will ask you, what did you learn? We learned this. And then he will ask questions. So how do you understand this? He will say, this is the way to understand it. The father will say, no, wrong. This is the way to understand it. Is it so? Wow, that is a... And they will both argue a little bit. And then father will defeat him with better understanding, and they'll get a better understanding. In this way, constantly they will be bouncing off what they learned from others, and they'll be spiraling in their understanding. Shrutekshita Pataha. And their understanding they will get is knowing the absolute truth. What is the ultimate? Who is? What is the truth? What is the reality? And they come to know gradually by questioning, answering, questioning, answering. That's why it's called Upanishad. The philosophical portion of the Vedas is containing the Upanishad. Upa means nearby. Nishad means sit down. Upanishad means come, sit next to me. What questions do you have? And they ask questions. It says Guru and Sishyas. Question, answer, question, answer. Shvetashvatar Upanishad. Mundaka Upanishad. Ishop Upanishad or Ishavasya Upanishad. Like that, Kena Upanishad. Like that, you will have so many of these Upanishad discussions about the philosophy of the absolute truth. The Veda is filled with a very, very broad, wonderful way. It doesn't confine you fanatically to say, this is it, take it. No. Even Krishna in the Bhagavad-gita is giving a whole range of choices to Arjuna. You want Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the best because that is the end. But you can choose, or you can choose not to do any of these things. And you can be like this, like that. Nobody is forcing you. And you'll be very surprised to know a lot of the Vedic things also. Great personalities like Jaimini, Kannada, Kapila, all of them, they heard this. And they also concluded it differently from Bhagavad-gita. They had their own philosophical conclusions. And they said, no, this has to be like this. And you will see all these, Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, Uttara Mimamsa, Karma Mimamsa, like that, different philosophical treatises based on what they have heard from the Vedas. And they were not stopped And a lot of these philosophical treatises are even atheistic. Kannada, Kapila, all of them propounded atheistic philosophies. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Karma Mimamsa, all of them are atheistic philosophies. It's very stunning. Vyasadeva only propounded the real theistic side of it. And he is the one who summarized the entire Vedas. In Kali Yuga, because no more people have got this capacity to be Shruti Kshitapata, he wrote down the Vedas, split them into 4, Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva, and then nicely categorized it so that people in Kali Yuga who are so badly disadvantaged, Mandha, Sumanda Matayo, Mandabhagyahi Upadruta, Prayin Alpayanaha. They are Prayin Alpasabhya. They are Ayush, very short lifetimes. Mandha, Sumanda Matayo, Mandha, their intelligence is very dull. Mandha Bhagya, they're also very lucky, unfortunate. Always very disturbed mentally. For such persons, it is very difficult to read this fantastic philosophical treatise, detailed discussions, and understand. They have no time. They don't have the things. They don't have sharp focus and intelligence like the previous yugas. So that Vyasadeva composed Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam Muni Krite Va Paririshwara Sadyo Hridyavarudyate Atra Kritibihi Sushubhi Sakshanat. And Srimad Bhagavatam, specifically composed for people in Kali Yuga, at the end of the Dwapara Yuga, there was a huge conference of all sages. 88,000 sages got together and discussed. In Kali Yuga, it will be like, what will the people do? Let's do something for the people. And they discussed the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna, I think my internet is connection is going up and down. Sorry. So this is the purpose of the Vedas. The purpose of the Veda, as Krishna says, is to understand him, not all other things. There are a whole range of things. If you want, you could go and get stuck up in all those things. But Bhagavad-gita deals with the essence, just like the Bhagavatam deals with a super distilled essence of the essence. So if you read these two books, Bhagavad-gita for the basics understanding, the basics should be Paka. Prabhupada called the Bhagavad-gita undergraduate course, and he said the Bhagavatam is postgraduate. And then you can read higher versions like Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's PhD, he said. So we hope to be able to taking you right up to the level of PhD if we can understand the basics of the Bhagavad Gita. So Vedas are meant for this purpose. And here is Prabhupada telling that same Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that same Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Kali Yuga to teach people how to use the Vedic literature in Kali Yuga. So he came to instruct, And it's so amazing that Krishna himself became a devotee of Krishna to show people how to follow the instructions given in the Bhagavad-gita and in the Bhagavad. And he showed how to practice it for Kali Yuga by chanting the holy names of Krishna. So Krishna himself coming and inaugurating the Harinam Sankirtana movement in Kali Yuga and teaching everybody how to practice it. So that pastime, I just want to tell you, because people were Vedic followers and stuck to Vedic followers, the Gyanis, some of these Ekadandi sannyasis and all of them, Lord Chaitanya goes to this place called Varanasi. And there two of his followers are called Chandrasekhar Acharya and Tapan Mishra. They are both residing there. And they quite often encounter these sannyasis. And the sannyasis ask questions. They say the absolute is impersonal. He doesn't have a personality. Actually, he is Brahman. And you are also Brahman. You merge into that Brahman and you become the absolute reality also. Therefore, Narayana means that Brahman. I am also Narayana, you are also Narayana. So they believed that when a person takes sannyasa, Dando Grahanam Naro Narayanam Bhavet. Nara means the human being. When he takes up the sannyasa danda, accepts sannyasa, Naro Narayanam Bhavet, the human being becomes Narayana. That was their very wrong conclusion by reading the Vedas. So Lord Chaitanya arrives there. And then these two people, they tell Lord Chaitanya that these group of sannyasis here and the higher Brahminical class, they are very, very focused on an impersonal realization of Bhagavan, of the supreme truth. It is so painful for us. They are people who don't understand, won't respect you, won't understand. So Lord Chaitanya simply smiled because he is Krishna himself. He is situated in everybody's heart. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hrideshwarjuna tishtati. So he knew what they were thinking and what these two devotees were feeling, the pain. And he wanted to solace them. He said, I am like a merchant who has come here with goods to sell. If I don't get the price I desire, I will give it at half price. If I still don't get that price, I may even think of giving it free. He said, and he smiled. Nobody understood really what he was trying to say. But then one fine day, a Brahmana came, local Brahmana, and said, my dear Lord Chaitanya, I saw you dancing in the Vishwanath temple. It was so wonderful. I saw you dancing space in Kirtan and Bhajan. I like it so much. I'm inviting all the sannyasis in a particular place. There's a conference. We want to invite you. So Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar Acharya said, no, you don't go. They'll insult you there. They're speaking already ill of you. They think you are an immature young sannyasi who does not know anything. Lord Chaitanya smiled and said, yes, I will come. And so both of these two followers became in great anxiety. Then Lord Chaitanya smiled and he arrived there on that day. And there was a whole group of these sannyasis holding their danda and sitting down, speaking the Vedas, discussing impersonalism, discussing Brahma Jyoti, discussing Brahman and absolute truth. They're all very intelligent people, very well educated, powerful. Don't think anything low about them. It is just that their conclusion in the Vedas was wrong. That's all. But they were very highly educated. It's not so easy to understand also. So what Lord Chaitanya did is, there is a place to wash your feet. There's a tap and there's a little sink. People wash their feet and then they wipe their feet on a doormat like thing and they come inside the assembly. So Lord Chaitanya washed his feet. Everybody saw him because he was very big, 7 feet tall and golden colored. He had complexion like gold. That's why it's called Gaura Anga. Anga means limbs. Gaura means gold. Gauranga was his name. So he looked extremely attractive. He had the complexion of Radharani, it's mentioned. Because she was the greatest of devotees, he had taken the complexion and the mood of his greatest of devotees. So his eyes were always wet with tears. And with his mouth, he was always chanting Krishna, 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 Krishna. He was absorbed in Krishna consciousness, chanting the names. So he arrived there, he washed his feet, and everybody was watching because he was bare-bodied. He had only a little sannyas cloth right up to his knees, and the rest of his body was bare. Very beautiful looking, very nicely formed body, brightly colored. He said, he sat down there only next to it, next to the tap, in that dirty place. So the sannyasi is wondering, why is he sitting there? So he sat there and very nicely showed his face, and he manifested an aura, a glow around him. After all, he was the Supreme Lord. He could do many of these things. So a glow manifested around him. He was looking brilliant. So all of them looked at him and said, wow, this sannyasi looks effulgent, very beautiful. So immediately they said, no, don't sit there. Please come here. Then he said, no, this is okay for me. I am just a very junior sannyasi. Then they said, no, the leader was Prakashananda Saraswati. Prabhupada quotes him there in the purport. He got up and reached out with his hands and said, no, please don't sit there. Please come here. You're a respectable person. And he held Krishna's hands. He held Lord Chaitanya's hands. And he was so happy to hold. And he brought Lord Chaitanya to the center of the whole group. And Lord Chaitanya sat there and a glow came out of him. Everybody instantly, in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became enthused and were feeling some sort of a great spiritual happiness while he was sitting with them. After all, because he is the Supreme Lord. So they asked him, why is it we like to ask you some questions? And Lord Chaitanya smiled and said, yes, please ask. Very sweetly he spoke. Yes, please ask. Whatever I'm qualified, I'll try to answer. He was so humble. Then they said, why do you jump and dance and chant the holy name? Right? As a sannyasi, you should read the Vedas, the Vedanta Sutra, and you should keep to yourself and not be publicly oriented like this. So he smiled a little bit and he said, I'm a very young sannyasi. I really don't know much. So my spiritual master Guru told me that you cannot understand the Veda and all that. The best thing for you is to chant the holy name of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. You chant. That is enough. That will give you all the necessary understanding you need. So since then, following my Guru's order, I do a little reading, but I spend my time mostly chanting Krishna's names in japa and in kirtan. Whenever I come to a public place, I join and dance with other people. I loudly chant the holy name, Harinama Sankirtana. And when I do that, I become so happy. Tears come out of my eyes and I can't sit down. I just get up and dance in joy, in remembrance of Krishna. And I don't know sometimes what I'm doing. I'm oblivious of everybody around me. I go into a trance. So when he was explaining this, they all could understand what he's saying is correct, 100% true, so convincing. Then they asked him more and more questions. As they asked him more and more, they became more intimately closer to him. He was drawing them closer with such sweet, simple answers. Then they discussed what is the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutra. Then he explained. And then each one of them, when they asked the question, they understood it so well, they answered, they became very satisfied and gradually explained to them how Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, how he gave us the Vedic literature, and how he wants us to come back to him in bhakti, and how chanting of the holy names is the real instruction given in the Vedas, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam is the sum and substance of all the. He explained everything so sweetly, all of them became completely convinced by him. And they said, we want to become your disciples. Then Lord Chaitanya laughed and said, no, no, no. You are already initiated by certain guru. All you need to do is to follow this way of understanding the Vedas and chanting the holy names of Krishna, and you will be all right. Then the leader, Prakashananda Saraswati, said, you have given us such convincing answers which we never knew. No one but the Supreme Lord only can understand the Vedas like this. You must be that same Narayana. I have no doubt about it. And he paid Shashanga Pranam Namaskaram to him. All of them paid Namaskaram to him. You see? Because normally the sannyasis, they get together and pay Namaskaram to each other saying, Om Namo Narayanaya. Thinking that you are Narayana, I am also Narayana. Narayana, Narayana pay obeisances to each other. But now the real Narayana himself has come in between. And by paying obeisances to the real Narayana, they were chanting Om Namo Narayanaya when they were chanting, which they normally do. They were paying obeisances to this sannyasi also. They said we should pay obeisances. The Lord gave them benefit because he was the real Narayana, Adi Narayana. He gave them all benefit and they got this realization. They all started chanting the holy name of the Lord, right? And he changed all of them to the Bhakti Marg. And they were all becoming devotees of Krishna and in ecstasy and great thrill and understanding. This is what Lord Chaitanya meant, that if they don't buy what I say, I will give it to them free. Which means I will go all out of my way to give them mercy, whatever they may think, whatever they may say, and I will convert them to proper understanding. So in this way, they all started chanting Krishna's names. These are all great followers coming in the line of great sannyasis like Shankaracharya and all of them. So this pastime is nicely illustrated here that we read here. Like this, there are so many encounters Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had. These are all from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I told you Prabhupada said is a PhD aspect. Very deeply describes the philosophy of the Vedas in a very simple way that anybody can understand, right? But we advocate that you read the Bhagavad-gita first, then read the Bhagavatam first, and then go into the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And you get a very deep understanding of the philosophy of the Vedas, the philosophy of life. So in these two verses, Krishna is trying to bring in the point that one who really knows the Vedas knows that loving the relationship with Krishna is the real purpose of the Vedas. Vedaisa sarver ahameva vedyaha, which Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhavamat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru, and wherein you should develop this beautiful relationship that is offered for you, which is permanently available for any soul, and take advantage. This is the secret of the Vedas. That's why Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Guhyat Guhyattaramaya, the secret of secrets. And he's saying, this is the king of knowledge I'm giving you. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitram, Idam Uttamam. Raja Vidya means king of education. Raja Guhyam means king of secrets. Pavitram means holiest. Idam Uttamam means topmost education. Why? Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharmyam Susukham Kartum Avyayam. Pratyaksha Bhagamam Dharmyam, the supreme dharma, you will actually witness and experience because you will see yourself. Susukam, and while doing so, you will become extremely happy. Kartum Avyayam, while doing so, you will become very happy. So this is king of knowledge. That's why the Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the essence of the entire Vedic literature. It's called Gita-upanishad, right? So that essence is being given. Sarvo Upanishado Gavo Dhokta Gopala Nandana. If all the Upanishads are represented as a cow, Krishna, Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Geetam Mritam Mahat. Partha is the drinker of that milk which is actually taken out from the udder of the Upanishads by Krishna. And that milk is Gita, Bhagavad Gita, Gita Upanishad. So if you understand the Gita nicely as it is, you have understood the entire Vedas. That's what Krishna is telling here. Tavat, you should know, Tavan Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vijanata. If you understand the real purpose, then you have understood it fully, the Vedas, right? So in another place, therefore, Shastra is important. We cannot just throw it out and say that who wrote it, I don't believe in it and all that. For everything, there's a pakka scientific answer given, right? And these Vedas are not written by human beings, they're written by God himself. It's not a human product full of mistakes and errors. It is a product of the supreme absolute truth. It's perfect and complete. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate. It's complete and perfect, right? So delve into the Gita. It is the essence of the whole Veda. By simply reading the Gita and understanding it as it is, you've understood the entire Vedas. Start executing it. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And you have got Vedas in action. You'll get the fruit. This is an amazing offer in Kali Yuga coming from Krishna, who has appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Quick, express service. You can zip, Vedic zipping, Vedic zip. You can understand the conclusion so fast. Everything is zipped and given to you, and you can immediately execute it, right? It would be highly unfortunate if we did not do so. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I will end here. It's 8 o'clock. And if there are any questions or comments, I'll be very happy to participate and give you some more info and input, right? If there's any comments or anything, please raise your hand digitally and I can call upon you, or you can actually put it up in the chat also, I think. Okay. Hare Krishna Maharaj, currently I'm chanting 4 rounds loudly daily. Should I chant loudly or lightly? Oh, interesting question. You should chant loud enough for you to hear clearly. Don't have to. Japa is chanted privately for yourself. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is loud enough for you to hear. We don't advise that you chant mentally. That will, go off as background music. So whether you chant loud enough and focus on hearing the 16 syllables. Hare Krishna Rama. All those you can hear and focus on the sound vibration. That is japa. When you are all together, now in COVID times, social distancing, so we are not able to get together. But inside your family, if you're getting together with 3-4 of you together, you can clap your hands, or if you know to play the kartal and the mridanga or the dole or anything, you can pray and you can together loudly chant. Loudly chanting is very good because it instantly gives you cleansing. Cheto darpana marjanam. Immediately it cleanses you. It's like lots of birds sit inside a tree and this thing. And then if you take one shot, boom, with a rifle, all of them fly away. So when you chant loudly like the rifle shot, all of these dirty things in the head, all that will settle down over a long period of time, they just fly away. And you feel light. You feel light. So chanting loudly the holy name of the Lord is very highly recommended. And we do it all over the world. You'll see Hare Krishna devotees coming on, even on the streets, and many of the public taking part in it. I have personally done it in New York, in Times Square, in Florence, in Italy, on the streets, and people love it. All sorts of people come and join you. It's very amazing. It's naturally attractive to them. So if you have an option to chant loudly and do kirtan with others together, do so. It's very good. Otherwise, you chant privately. All right? Very good. Thank you. The next question is, Bhagavad-gita gives the knowledge of all the Vedas. Should we read the other Vedas also, like Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita? Well, Bhagavad-gita gives you the basic essence of the entire Vedic scripture. But when you read Bhagavatam, you expand your Bhagavad-gita knowledge even more. And it's also very exciting. And there is full of wonderful stories and lessons from those stories in terms of what you've read in the Bhagavad-gita application. You will understand Bhagavad-gita application in the Bhagavatam. And different types of ages and different chronology At various places it happened. It's recollected by Shukadeva Goswami, by Maitreya, by Sutta Goswami, and different types of personalities speak in that. Brahma speaks, everybody speaks in that, all great authorities. So it's wonderful to read. Something like a, law. Law. This is the law, Indian law, passed like this, like this. Then there are journals of particular court cases that were argued using the law in a particular situation, say a murder case, say a forgery, say, terrorist, this thing, say that there's a divorce or something. It'll be argued using the law. And this place at this time, this person did like this, and this is the story behind how he came here, and then this happened, and this happened. Like the other day, we were talking about Ajamila, how the Vishnudutas and Yamadutas came. All this will be discussed. The Bhagavatam is like the journal of actual happenings and judgments based on the law. So it will be exciting how it is applied, right? So that is the Bhagavatam. Then the Chaitanya Charitamrita churns up the Bhagavatam even more, because God himself is coming as a devotee, following the Bhagavad-gita and the Bhagavatam and showing how to enact it. So this churned even further. So all of them are good, but you must read all of them. It will be a very exciting journey. But first of all, let's get a basic understanding of Bhagavad-gita, right? So it's not that you should not read, you must read the other also, okay? I hope that helps you. Right, any other question? Anybody has hands raised or something? Okay, right. So we have done our weekend Gita wisdom for you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I hope all of you enjoyed the Janmashtami programs. We had been visiting online and taking darshan. We had numerous programs for kids, for adults. We had lectures from many prominent leaders from ISKCON who came to give lectures. And we had Abhishekam, we had Kirtan, we had many things going online. I hope you all, moved in and enjoyed the Janmashtami. We hope to be able to have a physical Janmashtami with all of you very soon in the coming year. Thank you. Hare Krishna.